Howdy friendos, my name is Stuart, and you're about to watch me beat a dead horse. To those that don't know, several large D&D tubers have recently called it quits and thrown in the towel, and then right after that, other D&D tubers decided to talk about it. About 2 weeks ago, long-standing sketch comedy channel Mann Shorts made a video announcing not only are they quitting YouTube, but they're having financial problems as well. Literally a day later, Guy from the channel How to Be a Great GM announced that they were also quitting YouTube. Shortly after this, Professor DM of the Dungeon Coach also posted 2 more videos talking about his frustrations with the YouTube algorithm, which was then responded to by channels like Esper the Bard and the DM Lair. By the time I'm finished recording, someone way bigger than all of us, like, I don't know, Hot Tua Girl, will probably have something to say about it. However, before I really dive into it, I would like to give an extra special thank you to the DM Lair for just completely taking the title that I was going to take and using it in your own video. That felt good after 12 hours of writing and research. Thanks, buddy. However, this actually did turn out to be a blessing in disguise, since I can now make a shorter video and talk about what I really wanted to talk about anyway, so actually thank you. Taking a look at each of the channels who have been part of the discussion, we get to try to figure out how we can revive each of them, and we will also analyze what made them good channels, and we're going to try to calculate new ways to revive them and keep them healthy for a long time. And the first one we're going to take a look at is Mann Shorts, and they're one of the oldest channels on here, and they've actually seemed to need the most help financially, and regrettably, this is going to be our biggest hurdle. Right now, Charles, the channel's owner, says that he has basically quit the company and he needs to look for a full-time job, and his issues are indeed the most urgent. Right now, he just straight up needs money. And I've included his PayPal link below, and I've already sent him a small donation. Once they're stable, I honestly recommend letting the channel rest anywhere between 6 to 8 months, and this gives time for the algorithm to release its stranglehold on the channel. See, what most people don't realize is when a channel is left to die, it grows cold for a while, and the algorithm essentially releases them from their responsibility, so to speak. But essentially, the death of a channel gives it the opportunity to rebrand itself. And once you've gone through enough of these death spirals and rebranding and repackaging your content, you'll learn that permanent death on YouTube is not actually a thing. If you want to return from the dead like this, there's lots of different ways that you can regain interest and you can regain momentum, and Mann Shorts actually has a decade worth of content that they can revive, remix, and repackage. Being a sketch comedy channel, they should probably maintain that vibe. They've already gained 170,000 subs being funny people, and the fans that are there are already expecting that. Just because your channel is dead doesn't mean those 170,000 people wouldn't like to see your return. If they take 6 to 8 months on a break, this is actually just going to help them. These guys have basically gained their first bunch of subscribers by doing Dungeons & Dragons whatever edition, like Florida edition or Rap edition. And personally, I don't have any big suggestions because I'm not really a ha-ha comedy guy, but for example, maybe they should do D&D South Park edition or D&D Kingdom Hearts edition, something that will allow the team to rely on their old content but also mix it up in such a way that the imagination of the viewers will also allow them to speculate and make suggestions on future content. Speaking as a content creator, it is sometimes annoying to actually see the "can you do this, this, and this" in your comment section over and over, but I promise you that those comments are just as valuable as the comments telling you that you did a good job. It's part of the game, and engagement in your audience, whether it be suggestions or criticisms or whatever, are all good things for your channel. In fact, one of the things I've been starting to do lately is tell people to dislike me and leave an angry comment, because that only helps me, and it will help you too. One of the reasons that the Mann Shorts channel died is because they got too comfortable recycling the same story. Their last video that they dropped before they called it quits was called Dungeons & Dragons Christmas Part 6. Ooh, okay, there's a lot to analyze here, and there's a lot that's gone wrong if you put out a video like this. The easiest thing to point out is the title and thumbnail. Both of these are very dull, and the thumbnail itself is okay, but I would say there are too many subjects in it, and their reaction leaves very little to speculate on. I just see 3 random people with a mildly stunned face. And if you're going to compete in the economy of attention, you need to figure out a way to give a hint or tease about what's happening in the narrative of your video. Speaking of the narrative of your video, Part 6? That is new subscriber repellent. No one is going to see part 6 of a 10-minute sketch and then click on it. And here's the thing too, I'm not actually shitting on Mann Shorts on this. This is a mistake that hundreds and thousands of other YouTubers have made, and again, I'm trying to use this video as a teachable moment. I actually really respect Mann Shorts, and I want them to succeed, and if they want to, I want them to come back. But this On top of that as well, Man Shorts, when they produce a video, they'll only have like, say, 5 minutes and a sketch, and then they will put the bloopers in the gag reel as well. I think this is there in an attempt to increase the run and watch time, but this is unfortunately an old advice of YouTube that isn't relevant anymore. If you want advice on how to create a comedy channel like this, I would recommend taking a look at One Shot Questers. Right now, the YouTube comedy ecosystem relies on having very short and snappy jokes or stories. Man Short's style of writing is considered slow and deliberate compared to what's currently happening right now. On Twitch, they will jokingly refer to this as a metagame, and to be honest, this rings true for other comedy channels. Dead Gentleman Productions, while being the first comedic giants in the D&D space, aren't being emulated anymore, and now the current kings of comedy are basically TikTok-style comedians, and even though that website will be banned soon, their meta and their stylings will evolve into something else. And again, going back to that part 6, think of the comic book industry. Do you know why they keep rebooting series? It's because the only issues of comic books that actually sell are issue 1. This goes for YouTube videos as well. If you look at literally any Let's Play series, episode 1 is where you're going to have the most views, and then episode 2, if you're lucky, will retain half of those people. And then if the series is excellent, you'll drop a little bit more in episode 3, and then by episode 4, you maybe have 20% of your audience, and if it's really good and consistent and not too long, it will stabilize that far. I can demonstrate on this with my own D&D campaign videos, but you don't even need to look to me. Look to someone good like Markiplier. Markiplier's FNAF 1 playlist behaves exactly how I described, and it's consistent throughout every Let's Play channel that has things like this. And this, again, does extend to narratives. I highly recommend that if Man Shorts wants to return, that they limit their multi-part videos to 3 episodes at most. I've been kind of watching a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 playthroughs, and I've noticed that most people can stick around for around 3 acts. Plus, after they're done, they can compile that story into one full video. And those compilations are basically fresh, evergreen content that stay on your channel forever and will benefit you. In fact, this is something that Man Shorts did a while ago and saw excellent results with their Florida Saga video. If you want ideas from people outside the D&D niche, I suggest checking out Alpharad's Smash Ultimate Nuzlocke, or even Pitch Meeting, where he'll actually repackage all of his Marvel videos into one single mega video. And this type of content is both flexible as a creator and safe as a viewer. You can even see some revival of your old videos when you do this. However, I did mention gaming, and I mentioned my own D&D content, and one thing that this channel, and especially Guy from How to Be a GM, needs to learn is you gotta make a second channel, dude. This is a message to all D&D tubers, because D&D tubers seem to be especially allergic to this. Most successful YouTubers have multiple channels. In fact, looking back into the D&D niche, Tulok the Barbarian with his main channel has nearly 170,000 subs, and then he posted a gaming channel that has 130,000 subs. In fact, he's been posting new Elden Ring videos just the other day, and it broke 40,000 views, and that's more than pretty much most of us combined, let's be real. Don't be afraid to separate your content. You can actually make a lot more money this way. In fact, it looks like Tulok the Barbarian is going through a bit of a renaissance on his own channel, and good for him. He's doing quite well. However, I've been saying this over and over. This also depends on if Charles and his team want to return to YouTube. Once Charles and his team become financially stable, they need to decide if they want to take the risk of returning to YouTube. Content creation is a huge strain, both mentally and creatively. You'd be surprised how much your creativity suffers once you make creativity your job. On top of that, Man Shorts themselves did a pretty poor job of monetization. This is actually a trap that a lot of old school content creators just fall into, but unfortunately, YouTube needs to be treated like a business and not just your creative dumping grounds. Just casually looking around, Man Shorts did not have a very successful Patreon, nor did they have merch that reflected their personality that well. And to my knowledge, they never traveled to conventions or started any big crowdfunding projects. And that's honestly okay. Making merchandise and selling it when you don't want to make merchandise feels really bad, and it's especially discouraging to see if no one actually buys that stuff anyway, and you feel like you wasted your time that you didn't already want to invest. I'll talk about this YouTuber later in the video, but one of my favorite YouTubers right now is WolfeyVCG, and this guy has recently dropped some merch that you could tell isn't exactly flying off the shelves. They only tangentially relate to his content, and they're more just decent quality merchandise with some text on it. It's very similar to what Man Shorts is putting out there, but because Wolfey has diversified his income already with being a tournament goer, someone who streams, someone who has a very successful Patreon, he can afford to make merchandise less of his priority. And while I'm sad to see Man Shorts go, once they get back on their feet, they need to return with the idea that they need to constantly reinnovate their content, they need to adapt, and bring in a growth mindset. They need to figure out a way to better monetize their audience, and unfortunately, this is the environment that YouTube rewards, and once you adapt to that, this is how you have to make a full-time job on this website. How to Be a Great GM actually understood this during his tenure as a YouTuber. Guy is actually a fantastic businessman who has a massive career outside of YouTube with a website full of products, a massive Discord with thousands of people in it, and a Patreon with hundreds of people. In fact, if you watch his video, you never actually hear him say that his company is over. He just says that his channel is no longer being supported. And if I'm being honest, I feel like Guy isn't telling the whole story here. See, Guy mentions that he has contacts at YouTube, and they have told him that they're no longer going to promote his content, and that there's nothing he can do about it. Once you reach 100,000 subscribers, you do get a YouTube contact, and these contacts come with several perks. You get to use certain studios that YouTube has in various cities, and you're basically considered one of the big boys. However, I've never heard of a YouTube advisor who just straight up said, your channel is dead, and that's it. This strikes me as very odd. There are hundreds of ways that Guy could, revive his channel. Guy is a very smart man who has done a lot of business over the years with a lot of different companies. Man Shorts honestly feels like they accidentally fell into success with comedy, but How to Be a Great GM played the online business correctly almost from the very beginning. He could pivot his content and publish different styles of videos. He could rework his thumbnails. He could rebrand how he does his videos, but I don't think he wants to. I think Guy actually wanted to leave YouTube for a while, and he sees his dwindling view count as an opportunity to leave the space. On top of that, most people don't understand how the YouTube algorithm works. They just hear that and think big, scary electronic monster, and they just accept when they hear that the algorithm is punishing them. Becoming a successful YouTuber and becoming a successful business owner are not mutually exclusive things, and if you're making tens of thousands of dollars writing D&D adventures that are more fun to create, less stressful to produce, and generate way more money, it wouldn't be surprising if Guy decided that he's done making videos. In fact, I've been told that Taking 20 and WebDM, two other giant D&D channels, both quit YouTube because one became a successful writer and the other became a successful real estate salesman. I personally think that Guy understands what it would take to revive his channel and instead just decided that it isn't worth it for him to do anymore because he has more fun talking about Star Trek or traveling with his fiance. But if he did want to revive his channel, I would suggest the same thing to him as I did to Man Shorts. Get your gaming content off your main channel, figure out a way to spin your narratives and how to make your videos more engaging, and then limit or repackage your advice videos with better titles and better thumbnails that are more appropriate for the current YouTube environment. Various advice and writing channels like Guy and How to Be a Great GM could draw inspiration from people outside the niche. I mentioned before WolfeyVCG, but there's other people that I would recommend watching like Greg Doucette or even Matt Colville. I know that sounds weird to mention, but stick with me. These guys still use the talking head format and presentation. They just hire editors and writers to put a bit more effort into scripting stuff out and making the video visually interesting. One of the people I mentioned is Greg Doucette, who is a very aggressive and loud fitness YouTuber and a talking head personality that is constantly shilling his own stuff, and to be honest, it's become a bit of a meme on his channel. He will insult himself, other content creators, and even his own audience. He will call them all stupid and then turn around and say, buy my book. It's become a fun part of the content, and I know that he makes big money doing so. Now, granted, he's moved more into drama channels lately. I don't like the direction that his content has gone, but I watched him a lot when he was posting posting the same 3 workout videos every single month. WolfeyVCG is one of the best talking head YouTubers right now, and he does do all the same things that Guy does. He gives advice about Pokemon team makeup, he will tell tournament stories, he'll do top 10 videos, and then after that, he will post his unedited and longer advice content to his Patreon. Wolfey is on the rise lately, and that's not only because he is an extremely knowledgeable player, he allows his editors to create videos that complement his slightly cringy delivery. You can tell this dude is a bit of a dork, and his editors do a lot of the heavy lifting with his delivery. But because of the complements between his editor and his own delivery, he has created very engaging videos, and he has become quite successful over the last year. And like I mentioned earlier, he does sell some merch, but he does have a very successful Patreon. And those last few sentences probably sound like insults, but I promise, Wolfey is great, and you should probably watch his videos. However, you can tell that Guy from How to Be a Great GM draws a lot of inspiration from Matt Colville. And unfortunately, Guy is no Matt Colville. Matt Colville is basically the guy that really popularized the talking head GM channels. And if you look at his channel, you can see that he is still just raking in views from each and every one of his videos. But let's see why it's working for him and it's not working for anyone else. First of all, his thumbnail and title game is much cleaner. While they are minimal, they are extremely strong in advertising to the viewer what you are getting. When you click on a Matt Colville thumbnail, the video gets straight to the point and he has a powerful screen presence. His voice and presentation are strong and they are concise and focused the entire time. You know right away that your time isn't being wasted and you have something to gain from his channel. Also, keep in mind that Matt doesn't post very often. Whether it be once a week or once per month, when Matt posts, it's kind of an event. It's like your dad taking off a day of work to give the family some sage advice. Matt experimented with posting gaming content there for a second, but you could see that he dropped it after a while. Personally, I think that Guy wants to leave the D&D scene. He's done with it. He wants to move on and either talk about something different on his other channels. And as you can see, he's already gained a fair bit of subscribers and he's already posted something that's gotten a good amount of views. And you know what? That's fine. I just find it a little weird that someone as successful as Guy is spinning this narrative that D&D has killed his channel and there's nothing he can do to revive it. It does feel like an excuse. And if that is his excuse, I'm sorry for bursting that bubble. And I'm sorry if I'm coming off as aggressive. I still do respect him as much as I respect all these other channels, but I don't know, that felt weird to me. And then after that, the third YouTuber I want to talk about is Professor GM, or Dungeon Crafts. You see, over the last year or so, both his YouTube comments and his Facebook group have complained that he is posting a lot of clickbait. And people are saying that he's abandoned his channel's core values and content, and he's left the niche to become a sellout. And then he recently made a video called Clickbait Ruined My Channel, and y'all, I gotta say, this video is a work of art. I'm serious. Go watch it. Go watch that video right now. What Professor GM does to these really nasty comments is a perfect reverse Uno and a no you at all of their vitriol that is not quite on the same level, but it's very similar to Charlie's response to Sneako's Watch My Clips.
As for the people unsubbing, because they haven't seen anything good in 6 months, I'm going to call bullshit on that one. Because the algorithm only gives you what you click on. If you're getting WotC drama clickbait, that's only because you're clicking on other WotC drama clickbait.
He also managed to shill his upcoming Kickstarter, as well as give really good commentary about the modern state of YouTube. However, unfortunately, when it comes to the discussion of clickbait versus saving the channel, everyone is kind of wrong on this. First of all, to address the clickbait allegations, he is not clickbaiting. At all. People use this term all the time incorrectly. Clickbaiting is when you create a headline or presentation that falsely presents the information about what's inside in order to get clicks from people who aren't interested in the subject. Basically, false advertising. For example, if you make your title 10 facts about Britney Spears, but the content is, I don't know, a recipe about how to make homemade bread or something, that is clickbait. What Professor DM is doing is sensationalism, and to be honest, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very common tactic used in every single piece of media out there. At worst, it might be rage baiting, but no, not really. Future editing Stuart here. I was just doing a quick little check to make sure I was actually right on sensationalism versus clickbait, and I clicked 100 different websites, and they all said 100 different tiny minute things. Essentially, the point I was trying to make here is that he's not actually lying about the content that he's talking about, and he is in fact being truthful. It's just a little bit more appealing to click on because that is what the YouTube algorithm enjoys right now. And I know I'm walking myself back a little bit, but again, I think you kind of know what I'm saying, even if I don't. Either way, Professor GM is not lying. And also, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that someone was going to also add another video in discussion of this. And God, look, it's right there. This guy, who the hell are you? Decificient Master. Yeah, he posted an amazing video that has way better editing than mine. And he's just, oh God, look at him go. He's explaining it so well. I'm going to include a link to his video too. Go watch exactly what he's saying. And yeah, back to the main video. As for what Professor DM gets wrong in his response is a little bit more complicated. You see, Dungeon Craft is originally a channel that rose to fame through his campaign diaries, crafting builds, and discussions. However, he stated over the last several months that these videos haven't been getting him attention, and even though he wants to focus on that, the videos that's been giving him the most views and rewarding him with money, subscribers, and whatever are the clickbait ones, or the ones labeled as clickbait. However, here's the double-edged problem. The news videos, his clickbait videos, the one that's rewarding him in the algorithm, that's netting him thousands of dollars in subscribers, are actually killing his channel. We got to see this in real time last year with the channel NoNat1. NoNat1 is a small creator who covers Pathfinder 2e content. He creates guides, discussions, and the occasional news update around Pathfinder 2nd Edition. However, he did see a huge growth spike during the whole OGL scandal and saw a large number of people come to his channel and give him a significant boost in the algorithm for several videos. But he eventually chose to exit the conversation because it was destroying him both mentally and emotionally, and he also realized that his channel was slowly being changed into a channel that was reporting and regurgitating the news. All in all, NoNat1 understood that reporting the OGL scandal and being a goofy Pathfinder 2e guy are two distinctly different niches, and the one that was netting him views was not what he wanted to be. So to address Dungeon Craft's statement on how your clickbait videos, for lack of a better word, is keeping the channel alive, no, it isn't. Not if you still want to be the Dungeon Craft channel. You see, as you grow in subscribers and as you grow in influence and popularity and views, people aren't going to stick around when you post your campaign diaries or your building projects that you very clearly put a lot of time and passion into. So yes, if you want to continue to be the Dungeon Craft channels, the news stories are in fact killing your channel. Now, someone in the comments might be writing, well, Stuart, why don't you suggest to him that he just makes another channel? And I was going to suggest that, until I took a look at his Patreon. Dungeon Craft has over 2,600 patrons. Even if we assume that's only $2 or $5 each, you know, his lowest tiers, that's big money. Especially for a teacher. I quit after 5 years because I realized I wasn't going to make any money in that field. And YouTube and traveling to conventions and selling body pillows netted way more. So again, the difference between Dungeon Craft and being Professor DM who delivers the news is in direct conflict with what makes him the most amount of money. And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money. People gotta eat, and most people want to give their family a good life. On top of that, Professor DM has some pretty serious medical bills to pay, and from what I understand, he is approaching retirement age. If he wants my unsolicited advice, personally, I recommend rebranding your channel to Professor DM. That is how most people already know you anyway, and then you should open a second channel called Dungeon Craft. Literally nothing changes, and you can keep farming news and performing interviews doing exactly what you've always done, and you could still drop your favorite crafting videos on this less stressful Dungeon Craft channel. In fact, this is possibly a better way for you to make money in the long run, despite the fact that you won't be earning ad revenue for a while on this second channel. I highly suggest checking out Studson Studio, North of the Border, and Chong Art. I hope I said that right. These are high fidelity videos that don't necessarily require you to upload on a regular schedule, but also get thousands, if not millions of views. Now, I've just sat here talking a lot of shit in this video. I've told a lot of people who are more successful than me how to live their life and how to run their business. And yeah, you're right if you say I have no business doing this. If you scroll down, you will notice that I am a considerably smaller channel than they are. I don't get the views that they do, and I'm not exactly what you would call a well-respected respected member of the D&D community. Hell, I don't even consider myself a D&D tuber. I just call myself a video essay channel that pretends to do D&D tubing. Well, here's the thing. I've actually made all the mistakes that all of these channels are doing. I've actually been on YouTube for about 15 years. In fact, the first video that I ever published and the first video that I ever got 1,000 views on was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Psychic deck that I made with my wife when we were into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Over those 15 years, I have posted more of those "my channel is dying" or "I'm quitting" or anything stupid on my channel multiple times. I have said and done so much stupid shit that I've probably made every single mistake that you can make as a content creator. I've flooded my channel with gaming content that no one wanted. I've stolen ideas from other creators, and I've just straight up been a jackass, and I've also done a lot of pissing and moaning about why I wasn't rich and famous yet. Believe me, I've made all these other mistakes, and I've also handled it with less dignity and grace than these men ever could. They deserve a lot of respect, and believe it or not, despite the fact that I am probably coming off as a jackass right now, I respect all these men immensely, and I wish them the best of luck in their life. However, like I said before, no channel is truly dead unless you let it die. The secret to success on YouTube is to get lucky, and you get lucky by rolling dice. Rolling dice, however, on YouTube costs money and time, and not every dice roll is built the same. You could tip the scales sometime and load your dice a little bit. My niche changed from Yu-Gi-Oh! To actual play campaigns, and now, again, I am a glorified video essay channel. My most viewed video on this channel is a video essay about Has-Been a Hotel. In fact, some of my most successful videos are about Has-Been Hotel, but I stopped doing them because, well, I actually fell out of love with the show, but the second reason is because I didn't want my channel to be dedicated on reporting on another person's content. My day job is traveling to anime conventions and selling my wife's artwork, and at the moment, YouTube is mostly a side gig. YouTube nowadays is kind of a stepping stone or a tool for people who want to make art. Almost no one makes their living off of ad revenue or sponsors. In fact, the king of YouTube himself, MatPat, Mr. Game Theory, made most of his money as a consulting business, and he simply uses his big YouTube number as a leverage in his business dealings. Granted, he's retired, but I guarantee he's sitting with 7 or 8 digits in his bank account right now. To emphasize what I mean, 5 years ago, I made a video called Top 10 D&D Channels That Aren't Critical Role. In that video, I shouted out a handful of channels who, at the time, had under 100,000 subscribers. 5 years later, only about half of them are still active YouTube channels. However, most of them are still happy independent business folk. Forgotten Realms History has respectfully bowed out of the online content creation game, but he has recently posted a book into GM's Guild and is mostly using it as a creative outlet rather than any source of income. The Saving Throw show has mostly dissolved to pursue other things. However, they were back in September of last year and posted on their website about a Pathfinder one-shot that they did on their channel. Surprise Round, Stabbyness, and Space Diddys all still stream on Twitch, but I do know that the Surprise Round GM Lamp and Stabbyness both do this as their full-time career. Adan is still posting content, but right now he's doing more personal freelance work. He does intend to come back to content full-time soon. Bill Allan, as I was writing the script, has actually premiered another game in which I messaged him on his Twitter, and he says he's still doing content mostly full-time, but I think he's also still a high school teacher, and this is more of a side gig. But the presentation is still very professional and good. Third Wheel still posts videos and has a strong Patreon, and the last time that I checked, Jay, aka Stabbyness from earlier, still does this as his full-time job. Davvy Chappy has actually ceased making video essays. However, thanks to the success of his channel, he is now a full-on DM for hire, supported almost entirely by his community. He also makes shockingly good short films about LARPing, as well as having a sponsorship with one of the largest LARPing vendors around. I've actually included in the description of this video his referral link to their stuff. If you shop using that link, Davvy actually gets a pretty handsome kickback. Almost as handsome as Davvy Chappy himself, actually. Esper the Bard actually broke 100,000 subscribers a while ago, and while he may not be getting a ton of views from each of his videos, he is still making videos and breaks the 10% subscriber threshold that you need to keep your channel healthy. He's also got a Patreon with over 700 members, and he's created over 3 successful Kickstarters, and he's even mentioned in his latest video that he's doing well despite his seemingly low numbers. CJ from Don't Stop Thinking, while he hasn't posted in a while, recently did a very successful Kickstarter called Cloudbreaker Alliance, and it's an anime tabletop game that's supposed to be an alternative to D&D. According to CJ, he's doing quite well, and he uses his massive YouTube channel to deliver tutorials on his own game. His hiatus on his channel is completely work-related, and once he finishes his game, he's going to return to it. Can relate, buddy. And to the chattest of these creators, Demonac. Demonac creates animations on his D&D campaigns, and despite the fact that YouTube really hasn't been letting his channel grow, this is unfortunately a side effect of being an animator, he is still paying the bills full-time by making animations almost exclusively thanks to his Patreon supporters. I want to reiterate, he posts a video once every other month. Each one gains less than 10,000 views, and yet he is still a full-time animator on the website that is doing everything it can to build a release schedule that kills animation channels. Demonac shows you that you could be a successful YouTuber in a space with 1% of a niche audience, and frankly, I find his story astonishing. He also is low-key making his own TTRPG right now, and I'll be honest, I don't know too much about it, and when I asked him about it, he said don't even mention it, but I'm going to. It's my video. But yeah, if you want to start a YouTube channel, and if you want to be successful at it, you got to come in with the idea that this is a business and not just a creative dumping ground. Again, there's a difference between wanting to post some art here and there and then actually making a living. But I've talked enough shit. Thank you to the patrons, and I'll see you all next time.